Namaskar everyone. I hope you all are doing well and ready to embark on a fascinating journey towards the ancient Indian wisdom in the Sanchi Stupa. We are going to explore the famous geographical sites that is Sanchi Stupa. The lecture will explore how ancient Indian civilizations showcased their understanding of geography and the environment through famous sites like the Sanchi Stupa. These sites not only stand as architectural masterpieces but also embody ancient knowledge about space alignment and natural forces. So, these are the objectives of this lecture. You can explore the architectural and spatial design of Sanchi Stupa and its alignment with geographical and spiritual principles. You can understand the relationship between Sanchi Stupa's layout and environmental factors such as natural materials, climate, and terrain. You can also examine the symbolic and functional aspects of this stupa's design, including its integration with sacred geography and Vastu Shastra. You can also assess the relevance of ancient architectural wisdom as demonstrated by the Sanchi Stupa in modern urban planning and sustainable architecture. So the Sanchi Stupa, located in the central Indian state of Madhya Pradesh, stand as a remarkable symbol of ancient Indian architecture, spirituality, and geographical significance. Built by the modern emperor Asoka around the 3rd century BCE, it is one of the oldest stone structures in India and a testament to the region's rich cultural and spiritual heritage. The stupa are hemispherical structures that originally housed relics of the Buddha is not just an architectural marvel but also a geographical landmark that embodies the harmony between physical space and spiritual purpose. And the site of Sanchi is strategically located on a hilltop, offering a panoramic view of the surrounding landscape, a characteristic that reflects the ancient Indian belief in the sanctity of elevated, sacred spaces. Now, geographically, the placement of the stupa represents a convergence of natural and spiritual forces, where the earth's topography mirrors the celestial realm. The stupa's intricate carvings and gateways, known as torans, depict scenes from the life of the Buddha and the teaching of Buddhism, creating a powerful link between the material world and the spiritual journey. The spiritual energy of Sanchi is deeply rooted in the belief that sacred spaces like this are an intersection of heaven and earth, where the physical and metaphysical realm converge. As one moves closer to the stupa, the transition from the mundane to the divine becomes palpable, reflecting the spiritual intent of the structure and the geographical positioning that enhances its sacred aura. So, the Sanchi Stupa thus stands not only as a remarkable piece of geography but also as a beacon of spiritual enlightenment, showcasing the profound connection between the landscape and the sacred in ancient Indian thought. Now, we will talk about the architectural layout of the Sanchi Stupa. Like at the heart of Sanchi's architectural marvel is the Great Stupa, whose circular structure, as you can see in the image, is not just a physical form but a profound symbol which represents the cyclic nature of the universe, emphasizing the endless cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. And rising atop this stupa is the Hermika, a small square railing that symbolizes the heavenly realm, connecting earthly existence with the divine. And the four torans or gateways positioned at the cardinal directions serve as a transitional threshold between the material and spiritual worlds. And each gateway is intricately carved with stories from Buddha's lives and teachings, inviting the devotee to embark on a spiritual journey. The entire layout, strict alignment with the cardinal directions, is not coincidental. It is a deliberate reflection of cosmic order and harmony, like reinforcing the belief that human actions should align with the greater universal forces. Together, these features illustrate how ancient Indian builders integrated deep philosophical and cosmological ideas into physical space, creating sacred environments that were at once functional, symbolic, and even environmentally aware. Now we will see the Sanchi Stupa structures with its relationship with geography. The Sanchi Stupa, located in the Raisen district of Madhya Pradesh, India, exemplifies a profound relationship between geography and spirituality, merging natural landscape with architectural and religious significance. Built atop a gentle hill overlooking the surrounding plains, the stupa's placement was not accidental but carefully chosen to symbolize elevation, both physical and spiritual. In ancient Indian thought, higher ground was often associated with greater proximity to the divine, and the hilltop location of Sanchi enabled the stupa to serve as a visible, commanding symbol of Buddhist idols over the vast expanse of central India. And the region's geography, positioned along important trade routes connecting the north and south of India, further amplified Sanchi's role as a center of pilgrimage, learning, and cultural exchange. Its strategic setting allowed Buddhist ideas to disseminate widely, which reinforced the notion that geography was integrated into religious propagation. The materials used in the construction were locally sourced sandstone, reflect an intimate engagement with the land as artisans utilized the natural resource of the region to build a monument that would endure for centuries. Like if we talk about the orientation of the stupa and the ceremonial gateways, which is called the torans, it aligns harmoniously with cardinal directions, a practice rooted in ancient Indian cosmology and sacred geography, symbolizing the universal reach of Buddhist teachings. Additionally, the landscape around Sanchi, with its open skies and tranquil environment, brings out an atmosphere of contemplation and spiritual upliftment, echoing the Buddhist emphasis on mindfulness and transcendence. So, the Sanchi Stupa is not merely an architectural wonder, but it is a kind of manifestation of a broader geographical philosophy where land, spirituality, and human endeavor are interwoven to create a sacred space that continues to inspire reverence across time. Now we will see the spatial symbolism in the stupa. The spatial symbolism of a stupa, particularly in the context of Sanchi Stupa, is rich with its metaphysical and geographical significance, which blends the physical design with the spiritual concepts. The stupa is not just an architectural structure, it is a carefully crafted representation of the universe, which symbolizes both the cosmos and the path to spiritual enlightenment. The very form of this stupa, it's a circular dome-like structure, as you can see in the image, reflects the Buddhist concept of wholeness and the cyclic nature of existence. And geographically, it is often constructed on elevated ground, signifying the elevated nature of the spiritual journey, where the practitioner ascends from the mundane to the enlightened state. And the central mound or und, which houses the relics, represents the universe, embodying the principle of cosmic duty. This centrality mirrors the Buddhist idea of a harmonious, interconnected world where all things are interrelated. And the stupa's dome symbolizes the vastness of the universe and the infinite nature of Buddha's teaching. Now, surrounding this central mound are the concentric rings of pathways, often called the Pradakshina Paths, which symbolizes a cyclic movement of time and the journey of life, death, and rebirth, which is a core principle of Buddhism. And as devotees circumambulate the stupa, they are engaging in a physical manifestation of the spiritual path, symbolizing the cycle of sansar and the progression towards enlightenment. And you can see the gateways or toran that surrounds the stupa also contribute to its spatial symbolism. And each toran is adorned with intricate carvings depicting scenes from the life of the Buddha, the cycle of birth, enlightenment, and death, reinforcing the idea of spiritual pilgrimage. The four cardinal directions represented by the torans, north, south, east, and west, further emphasize the symbolic connection between the earth and the cosmos, representing a spatial alignment with the universal order. The stupa's spatial symbolism ties the sacred geometry of this structure where the geography of the landscape in which it is situated. So it creates a metaphysical link between the earth and the cosmos, transforming the space around it into a symbolic representation of the Buddhist universe. The placement of the stupa on a hilltop, elevated above the surrounding areas, enhances this symbolism, as it represents the transcendence of the material world and a connection to the higher and spiritual realms. Now we will talk about the stupa's role in environmental harmony. The Sanchi stupa stands as a timeless symbol not only of Buddhist devotion but also of profound environmental harmony, reflecting ancient Indian ideals of living in balance with nature. Constructed around the 3rd century BCE under the patronage of Emperor Ashoka, the stupa's design and placement embody a sensitive understanding of the natural environment. Now built atop a modest hill without significantly altering the landscape, the structure integrates seamlessly with its surroundings, suggesting a deep respect for the natural contours of the land. Rather than dominating or reshaping nature, the builders of Sanchi worked with it, allowing the stupa to rise organically from the earth, symbolizing the Buddhist ideals of non-violence or ahimsa and interconnectedness with all living beings. And the use of locally available materials like sandstone minimized the ecological footprints, showing early examples of sustainable construction practices. And the lush vegetation surrounding Sanchi, once dense with trees and now maintained through conservation efforts, reflects the traditional Buddhist reverence for nature, where groups or one were considered sacred spaces ideal for meditation and inner awakening. The carvings on the torans or gateways of the stupa, depicting flora, fauna, and natural scenes alongside human and divine figures, further illustrate an ethos of coexistence between humanity and the environment. Here, water management also played a subtle role because the region's natural water flow was respected, and the stupa's location on elevated ground helped prevent erosion and flooding, preserving both the monument and the ecosystem as well. So the Sanchi Stupa is not just a spiritual center, but a living testament of environmental harmony, where architecture, philosophy, and nature converge to create a sacred landscape that nurtures both human and ecological well being. And its continued preservation reminds us of an ancient wisdom that recognized the earth not as a resource to be exploited, but as a sacred space to be revered and protected. Now we will see the stupa and its environmental integration. Now, Sanchi Stupa is a remarkable example of environmental integration where sacred architecture and nature exist in a symbiotic relationship, reflecting ancient Indian reverence for the earth as a living sacred entity. And the stupa's design thoughtfully harmonizes with its natural surroundings, creating a sacred space in nature rather than imposing upon it. And built on a gentle hill, the stupa is surrounded by open spaces and was originally integrated with the nearby groups and trees, which were essential elements of Buddhist monastic life. Trees were not only um, physical markers of sacredness but also symbols of life, shelter, and spiritual enlightenment. With the Bodhi tree itself representing the Buddha's awakening, the spatial arrangement of the Sanchi complex allowed for an uninterrupted dialogue between built structures and natural environment, which encourages contemplation and mindfulness in an open, breathing landscape. Additionally, the stupa's builder demonstrated a sophisticated understanding of water and drainage system also, which is crucial for the site's sustainability. Early methods of managing rainwater and natural runoff were employed using the hill's gentle slopes to naturally direct water flow away from the stupa's foundations, preventing erosion and waterlogging. Channels and graded surface also ensured that rainwater dispersed without damaging the sacred structure, illustrating a nuanced grasp of ecological engineering. Furthermore, sustainability is deeply embedded in its very ethos of the Sanchi Stupa's construction. Materials like local sandstone reduce the need for long distance transport, minimizing environmental impact, and the open courtyards, shaded pathways, and carefully oriented gateways took full advantage of natural light, ventilation, and climatic conditions. Instead of constructing massive barrier against nature, the builders of Sanchi wove natural elements like light, wind, stone, and vegetation directly into the fabric of religious architecture. And this seamless blending of the natural world with sacred space created an enduring environment that has not only survived the best of time but continues to inspire a vision of sustainability, ecological wisdom, and spiritual depth for modern society seeking harmony between development and nature. Now we will talk about the modern relevance of Sanchi Stupa's design. So, the design of the Sanchi Stupa holds profound relevance for modern architecture. urban planning, and environmental design. At a time when rapid urbanization often leads to disconnection from nature and cultural roots, the Sanchi Stupa reminds us of the importance of creating spaces that bring out both spiritual well being and environmental harmony. Its hilltop location and careful alignment with cardinal directions demonstrate an ancient understanding of visibility, symbolism, and geography. These are the concepts that can inform modern cityscapes, aiming for both functional excellence and cultural depth. The stupa's use of local materials, passive cooling through open air structures, and sensitive integration with the surrounding landscapes offer valuable lessons for sustainable architecture even today. And in the era facing climate change and environmental degradation, the stupa's natural drainage solution and minimal ecological disturbance presents models for resilience and ecological intelligence. Additionally, the symbolic layout based on the mandal and the concept of axis mundi provide inspiration for creating civic spaces that are not just functional but also meaningful, nurturing a sense of community, identity, and connection to the larger cosmos. So, Sachi Stupa's timeless principles of sustainability, symbolism, and environmental sensitivity continue to offer a guiding light for designing holistic, human centric, and sustainable spaces in the contemporary world. Now, the Sachi Stupa stands as a profound embodiment of timeless wisdom, illustrating how ancient India seamlessly integrated space, spirituality, and geography into its architectural and cultural expressions. Constructed over 2 millennia ago, the stupa was not merely a religious monument but a deliberate spatial articulation of Buddhist cosmology, moral philosophy, and environmental harmony. Its placement atop a gentle rising hill, its orientation towards cardinal directions, and the organic use of local materials reflects a sophisticated understanding of geography, not just as a physical terrain, but as a living, sacred canvas intertwined with the spiritual purpose. The Sanchi Stupa exemplifies how built spaces were conceived to align with cosmic order, environmental rhythms, and human ethical aspirations, creating a landscape that bring out the mindfulness, community cohesion, and ecological balance. Now, I will leave you with the question: can a structure built over 2000 years ago teach us how to build cities for tomorrow? Thank you.